Alright, we're pretty much done with that. We're just going to remove some temporary files and we should be good to go. This won't take too long. Now we just move some data around and then return in a moment. There we go. Can close. And now we have our MES 101 Galaxy name. We're not going to need the template section at the top for a little while, so let's shrink this up. And we're going to expand our deployment and our derivation view. If you hit the star on the number pad on the right-hand side, top right-hand side of your keyboard, it'll expand the entire tree. If your system platform model is very large, this could take a considerable amount of time. Early on in the project, it's not too bad. Okay, let's start off dead simple. We're going to need a few different things. We're going to need an app engine. We're going to do a little trick here. Firstly, I'm going to use the keyboard. It's a little quicker than clicking all the time. Instance is Control N and a derived template is Control Shift N. I'm assuming that you already know the difference between these, but at a very basic level, a derived template is inheriting a template and creating another template with it. If you instantiate an instance of a template, it's no longer another template, it's the concrete version of that template. So a template instance is going to be your final product in effect, or the first of your fully custom objects. We're going to do a little trick that somebody else showed me once, and we're going to create Control Shift N, an app engine based on the original template. And we're going to call this a app engine. This is going to seem a little bit silly. And we're going to create another one underneath that called AB, app engine. The reason for this is if you ever need to change one of these objects and import and export it is one of the easiest ways to do it if you want to rename it or you want to change it substantially. So if you try and remove the root level app engine or replace that, you can't because it's a built-in product, built-in value. You can't rename that. If you tried to import a new version of the first level one here, it tries to overwrite it. If you do this, you can import an AB and then you can change the name of one of them and then re-import it at a different level. Once you've done it, you'll see what I mean. It's probably not a very good explanation. It's a good idea and it'll save you time in the long run. It's worth doing. Now we have the level at which we wish to create our app engine. And in this case, we're going to use a plant-wide app engine. You could do it per area or plant area, for example. We only have the one plant area, so that doesn't make much sense in the case of our model. So let's go Control N and create our Acme app engine. We only need the one of those. We're going to need a view engine to view some SCADA at some point. So let's fire up one of those. Control Shift N, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say a view engine, Control Shift N, AB view engine, Control N. This is going to be our Acme view engine. We only need the one of those. Now, wind platforms are a little bit different. We might want multiple platforms to host multiple things. In our case, not an issue. We're going to have one platform, and that one platform is also going to be our Galaxy repository. So let's fire up the same schema. We're still going to make the parent ones that we might want to rename later. But let's go down here, Control Shift N, a win platform. Control Shift N, AB win platform, and then Control N, golden colored one because it's our first one, and we're going to call this Acme GR, because it's going to be our Galaxy repository. Excellent. Now let's go over to our deployment view and have a look at all the things that are not deployed and are unassigned in particular. Let's move our application engine and our view engine over to the Galaxy repository rather than unassigned. When we now assign our Galaxy repository, when we compile and deploy our Galaxy repository, the app engines and view engines will live underneath. Let's go back to our derivation view. Something happens here that is a choice that designers make with System Platform. It is to do with which level of the hierarchy in your design has the very first user-defined object versus an area. An area in the Wonderware System Platform context is a special type of object. User-defined is a different type of object. If you were to think of them as a Venn diagram, for example, everything a user-defined object can do, the area object can as well. The area has some special features. Special features including alarm aggregation. In some cases, it's worth having areas all the way down to your final devices. So in the context of our original plan, I'm going to use areas, the Wonderware System Platform area, all the way down to the equipment. The individual motors and things can be, for my application, are going to be user-defined objects or instances of inherited templates of user-defined. But I'm going to use the system platform area all the way down to this level, which means I can aggregate alarms at the equipment mixer level or the equipment heater rather than having to do it just at the line level or just at the process level. So let's get started with that. Control-Shift-N, A area, AB area. Start off with a dead simple. We've got a plant. We also have a line 1 on our plant. We can drag that on top of. Now we have our contained name, which is starting to build our hierarchy. So if we go and look in our model, something, I hate that. Yes, that'll happen a lot, unfortunately. That and windows that hide when you don't want them to, the properties on the right-hand side of things, and I'll show you how to get rid of that later if that happens to you. So if we look at our model view, we have a bunch of unassigned areas. We want to move all of this into the plant. It's going to be our root level. And our line is defined here as the root level object in our model under plant. Sorry, our first tier object under plant. So if we were then to look at the derivation view, we can see plant.line. Now we can start to see our hierarchy being built. Let's have a look again at our text document. So at this level, at the line 1 level, we're all good. We want to drill down an extra level. We want to have a kind of area that's a little bit special. It's going to be one called a process. So let's create ourselves a type called Control-Shift-N, because this is going to be another template, and we're going to call this process. Oops, I didn't mean to double click that, I meant to single click that. Just give me 1 second. Don't care about this for a moment. We want to create another Control-Shift-N. I'm going to call this operation. And we want another one called equipment. So this will allow equipment, operation, and process to have slightly different inherited properties, which will become useful to us a little bit later on. But for now, the important thing is let's build our primary, our next level, our mixing, process, unit packing, and case packing. So I'll put this one in the clipboard to give us a copy of the name. One thing you'll notice here is I've put the P in here and the O, so that's for process, operation, and then EQ for equipment. Unfortunately, if you don't do something like this, when you start to build your model up, you'll end up with something like you see here, where you have an inherited instance of a process called process. So you have a process, and things start to get very complicated. So if you have a mixing process, a mix operation, and a mixer equipment, and you don't prefix them with something to identify them, you end up with a chain of mixing, mix, mixer, and that becomes immensely complicated to try and work your way through mentally. But to begin with, let's put this one in the clipboard. We're going to make our P for process. So let's make a bunch of processes. Let me Control N for a new one. This one we're going to paste, line 1 mixing. Now we're going to make Control N another one. And instead of line 1 mixing, this is going to be line 1 process. Let's make one more, or two more. Line 1 unit packing. So it's a unit packing process, and when the process is executed, we're going to perform the packing operation. And now let's make a case packer, or case packing process. Excellent. So at this level, we can now say that we want to drag each one of these onto the line. And now we have plant 1, line 1 case packing process. Now each process is going to have an operation, and each operation is going to use some equipment. So let's move on to making some of those. So let's start off with the operation as the next level in our model. So the operation is going to be mix for the mixer. Unfortunately, I have a virtual machine here, so this is going to make viewing both of those at the same time a little impossible, so you just have to bear with me for a moment. Control N, this is going to be an operation, and that's why we're going to change the wording of it slightly. We're going to put an O there, and an action is more of a directive, so let's say line 1 operation mix, because it's a command to mix. So let's do that. We're going to have a mix, Control N, we're going to have line 1 heat, so we're going to heat up our product, Control New, line 1 chill, let's get rid of these P's and change them to O's. Sorry, double clicking on this opens it up, it's not like File Explorer in Windows where a slow double click allows you to rename. So we have heat, chill, mix. We're going to make another operation called operation unit pack. We're going to have another operation called case pack. If we have a look back at our text document here, we can see that underneath unit packing we have 3 pieces of equipment. Underneath the process we have a cook and a chill, or in my case a heat and a chill. Let's change this to heat and chill. It's more consistent. Okay, so we have a heat and a chill. So we should end up with, at our operation level, we should have 1 operation, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The next level down is the equipment level. And we're going to end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, I'll do that in better order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of equipment. So what I'm going to do is create these pieces of equipment the way you've already seen, but I'm going to pause the video because you don't need to see me type in 7 times the same thing, but I'll do the first one. Control N for a new piece of equipment. We're going to clipboard the mixer name and place in here. Single click, F2, so that is an equipment. Now I'll pause the video and I shall come back to you in a moment.